Hey, welcome to Two Doctors Homestead. My name's Daniel, and we're looking at the 5 C's of survivability, which is cutting tool, combustion device, cover elements, containers, and cordage. And today we're going to look at the combustion device. This applies to your potential EDC. I think you always want to try to cover the 5 C's in your EDC as possible, but also if you're putting together a bug out bag, a get home bag, a survival bag, if you're interested in bushcraft or anything like that, you want to cover the 5 C's, and there's actually some more C's after that, but these are the 5 C's of survivability. So we're looking at combustion device. If you look at the rule of threes, shelter is one of the first things you need. Certainly without shelter, you get very cold, right? We've talked about hypothermia before. You don't want to get hypothermia. You don't want to overheat in the desert. Certainly the fire wouldn't help with that, but the second item you're going to need is water, and fire could help you purify water. It could help you fend off wild animals, cook your food, you name it. Fire is important, and in order to create fire, it's certainly a lot easier to have some kind of a combustion device, right? So I've got a handful here I want to show you. First one that's relatively common is just a basic Bic lighter, right? They're not expensive. They work very easily. They're pretty reliable, and I've seen some videos where people use them to create fires even when they're empty, as long as the little flint works. You can see Zippo lighters as well. In my experience, Zippo lighters are sort of a hobby into themselves, in that you've got to keep the fuel. You've got to keep adding fuel. They could leak even higher quality ones, maybe not. But they're a lot of work. Zippos, I think, are a lot of work. If you're into Zippos, great. If not, just a basic Bic lighter would be your first choice on the combustion device. But it doesn't end there. Wait, there's more, right? You see a lot of something like a Ferro Rod. Now, a Ferro Rod is different than perhaps a magnesium fire starter, right? Ferro Rod doesn't have the magnesium built in. Something like that is a little Ferro Rod. You scrape the rod, right, and that's going to create the sparks, and you use the sparks to start the fire. If you have dry tinder or something like that, you get some pretty hot sparks going. Scrape that, you get your fire started. One of the advantage of this over, say, a Bic lighter is the idea that you can start a lot more fires, right? You're not going to run out of fuel as quickly with something like a Ferro Rod. So if you like the idea of a little more work when you're making fire, something like this is also a good choice, right? The Ferro Rod, as opposed to your basic magnesium fire starter. So this is a Ferro Rod, but it's also a block of magnesium. So you would take this off, but you scrape the magnesium into the area you want to light on fire, and then you spark the Ferro Rod, right? And the magnesium that you're scraping off the block will light very easily and burns very hot. So this sort of has an advantage over just a Ferro Rod, right? The Ferro Rod surface is much smaller, so perhaps you'd wear it out faster than a larger rod, but that block of magnesium could help you out a lot in getting a fire started, to be able to scrape that off into your tinder, and that would burn and ignite your tinder. So another option, and this falls nicely into the bushcraft survival idea, or the 2-is-1 idea, is to have one thing that covers multiple areas. This is a compass, just a basic compass, whistle, Ferro Rod built in that is a match holder, right? So something like this might be a good idea. And in here I've got a collection of the weatherproof matches. So you've got kind of your strike anywhere matches, so you can light your matches on here. I guess that's a match lighter more than probably a Ferro Rod. Might be stretching things a little bit there, but once again, good idea for your bushcraft survival, your EDC, your bug out bag, your get home bag, any of those kind of survival bags you might be putting together. This is a multi-purpose, right? The whistle is great for signaling, whether you're trying to get someone's attention, whether you're lost in the woods. You might scream until your voice is hoarse and not be able to talk anymore, but if you can breathe, you can whistle, right? I've seen these used in protests as a way to annoy people. You blow on the whistle, they can't talk over you. I'm not going to blow it that loud. and also a compass. We'll get into compass as its own one of the C's of survival of bushcraft, but a compass could be very useful. And this seems to work all right. I said that's a very basic compass, but it's telling me north is that way, and I sort of already knew north was that way. So in terms of combustion device, you've got a multi-purpose match holder, could be very useful. And then the last item we're going to show you on combustion device is the signal mirror. So once again, this is a multi-purpose item. It's, as I called it, a signal mirror. If you're lost, if you're trying to signal a plane or something like that, there might be one overhead. You're signaling, right? Whether you're signaling another person, signaling another plane, but if you're aware, a mirror is a way to focus light. So if you're patient, you can use a mirror to start a fire. So a good survival item in and of itself for the signaling capabilities, but also as a backup fire starter. And once again, we're saying two is one, so you're going to have more than one, right? One is none. One could fail, one could get lost, one could get broken, could get misplaced, whatever it is. We call one none, two is one. So you want your matches and your lighter, your ferro rod, and your signal mirror, something like that. These two items right here are a great combo because they're both multi-purpose. But you got to be a little patient to start the fire with the mirror. So maybe you leave that as your signal mirror. You take this and your ferro rod or your Bic lighter, right? So that's the combustion C. I think we covered that pretty well. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.